Zachary Taylor, the 12th President of the United States. Born in Virginia in 1784, he was transferred to Kentucky as a baby and raised on a plantation. He was a career officer in the Army, yet he mostly talked about cotton farming. His house was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he owned a Mississippi plantation. Taylor did not advocate slavery or Southern sectionalism. He spent the better part of a quarter-century policing the borderlands against Indians. During the Mexican War, he achieved significant wins at Monterrey and Buena Vista. President Polk, concerned about General Taylor's casual leadership style and maybe his Whiggery, retained him in northern Mexico and dispatched an expedition led by General Winfield Scott to conquer Mexico City. Taylor, enraged, believed that the Battle of Buena Vista opened the route to Mexico City and the halls of Montezuma, that others could rejoice in them. The rustic methods of Old Rough and Ready were political strengths. His extensive war record would sway northern voters, but his ownership of 100 slaves would sway southern ones. He had not made any commitments on contentious matters. The Whigs selected him to run against the Democratic nominee, Lewis Cass, who advocated allowing citizens of territory to determine whether or not to accept slavery. Northerners opposed to the introduction of slavery into regions founded the Free Soil Party and supported Martin Van Buren in response to Taylor, the slaveholder, and Cass, the champion of squatter sovereignty. Taylor was elected because the Free Soilers won enough votes from Cass in a tight race. Taylor, while adhering to Whig ideas of legislative leadership, was not willing to be a puppet of Whig leaders in Congress. He pretended to be above parties and politics at times. Taylor, as unkempt as ever, attempted to administer his government in the same rule-of-thumb manner in which he had battled Indians. When new state constitutions were written, citizens could choose whether or not they wanted slavery. To resolve the debate over slavery in new territories, Taylor advised settlers in New Mexico and California to write constitutions and petition for statehood without going through the territory stage. Southerners were outraged because neither state constitution was likely to allow slavery. Members of Congress were outraged because they believed the president was usurping their policy-making authority. Furthermore, Taylor's proposal overlooked numerous critical side problems, like the northern distaste of the slave market functioning in the District of Columbia and the southern need for a stricter runaway slave statute. President Taylor had a tense meeting with southern leaders who threatened independence in February 1850. He informed them that if it became essential to execute the laws, he would personally command the army. He would execute anyone apprehended in rebellion against the Union, with less reluctance than he had hung deserters and spies in Mexico. Then something unexpected happened. Taylor became unwell after attending festivities at the Washington Monument on a scorching July 4. He died 5 days later. The forces of compromise won after his death, but the battle Taylor was willing to fight occurred 11 years later. In it, his only son Richard served as a Confederate Army commander.